Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star. Your supreme protector is Almighty Allah. Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are. Press forward and forward to the light of Allah, and repeat, Alhamdulillah. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our program, Teens and Parents. Not parents and teens, but teens and parents, because we are going to try to understand our young people in hopes that we can bridge the gap that seems to be growing between our parents and the teens. We are discussing peer pressure and how to deal with it. I have another guest, and he is a former volleyball star, and his name is Ashraf Taman, and I would like to greet you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good, and I'm glad that you are here on our show.
Me too, actually.
And we're also continuing with our other guest, and we have Abdul Basir Wallace from the States. Now, we're going to try to get you included on this discussion here. Now, you have a background as an athlete from a young age. What are some of the pressures that you faced during those teenage years? We're talking 13 to 17 to 18, 19.
Okay. Living as an athlete, as a teenager, I have to start by saying that this is a one step towards overcoming the peer pressure in the teenage years, because someone who already belongs to a team is going to have more confidence, and he feels that he's a part of something already. But now inside this team, there's a lot of actions actually, especially in those years. There's a lot of energy, and we used to be in a good shape. And so you could transfer this power to
lots of things.
Lots of things. So there's so much competition. There's so much. It's like I used to describe it as a small real life. In real life in general, so at work or at school, and your real life, you compete and you try to do better. And in the team also, you compete and there's politics inside the team and all that. There's peer pressure. Usually, my own experience, I experienced it from better players. Usually, affect the less skilled players. Also, from players who belong to a national team or players who played on a higher scale to other players. Sometimes we see bad examples, like a professional player who, stays out at night or drinks or smokes, and just acting this way is putting other people in a pressure that they want to be a part of this cool guy, So there's, I think, the family has a lot to do to not leave the kid alone and just throw him there. They need directions. They need tips to how to deal with these things.
Okay, but now when we just got finished discussing with Abdul Basir about the prayer and the peer pressure and such like that, you tell us now, during those days, you're a star. You're going from place to place. You're playing volleyball. You're doing your own thing. It's time for, everybody sitting around watching a movie that everyone knows has elements in it that are not from the religion of Islam. How do you walk away from that?
Well, first of all, you have to realize if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts you in a group, let's say, of 25 people, and when the adhan time comes, you hear the adhan, and maybe another one guy gets ready to go make their wudu and go ahead and pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have, deep inside, you have to realize how the great bounty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you to be guided and mindful that of the importance of your salah and that you have to be punctual. This is a hidayah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have, if they really realize the great bounty of it, they will really be able to, I think, overcome the peer pressure in this area.
So you're saying that peer pressure is a group thing and not necessarily an individual thing, is that right?
What I'm saying is, to overcome the example that you gave about the prayer, especially prayer, as I said, it's a great bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I really appreciate this bounty and realize the great value of it, I really, it will be a lot easier for me to overcome the peer pressure. When the rest of the group are not praying, That's what I meant.
Abdul Basir, you share that?
I do agree in some aspects. I think it is based on who you are, because it can be a group matter, or it can be an individual matter. But it all has to start with yourself. Whether or not the people around you change with you is a different matter. But it starts with one person. They change themselves, and hopefully the other people around you will be influenced by your good actions and your good deeds. When they see you going to make salah, hopefully they'll follow behind you and carrying out the mission of Allah and praising Him.
Now, I want to talk about substance abuse briefly with peer pressure. I remember growing up in New York, going to college in New York. This is why I'm particularly interested in your story at this time, because I remember those days very, very well. At that time, I wasn't Muslim. And we were away. We were on campus. It was just a big blast. That's what it was all about. And even though you knew that drinking alcohol until drunkenness and doing this on a consistent basis, this is wrong. You know it. But everybody's doing it. So you kind of get sucked into it, step by step by step. So I'm saying to you, I wanted to probe a bit deeper into those days, because I know what it's like just to be an average person on campus. But you were not an average person on campus. You were a star on campus. You had the people cheering for you. So this is even more so the call to do evil. You understand?
Yes, I understand. Yeah, of course. I lived on campus at my school for 2 years, and I played in the NCAA championship. We had all these games and things like that. And usually, what happens after the game is we go back to the dorm. Well, thank God, not me, but the team go back to the dorm and they start celebrating the win, and things. I think you know what happens next. Of course, there was a lot of times I wanted to be with my team, and I wanted to join the party. But Alhamdulillah, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala give me the strength to be in a position like this. I think.
Did you have other Muslims on the team?
Actually, I didn't. It was all non-Muslims. But in similar situations, one has to be cautious. The thing is, you have to find a Muslim company. You have to find a good company. You have to make good Muslim friends, because you could have people with you at work, co-workers or roommates, or but they could not be really your friends, because if you're the Muslim friend, then he will definitely sometimes tell you, let's go, it's time to pray, let's fast this Thursday, let's do something good. But no way, if you're not with a Muslim person, he's going to tell you anything about Islam, or of course he's not going to encourage you. And if sometimes we get lazy, we need to encourage each other. And the Prophet ﷺ taught us that the shaitan is closer to one on his own than to two people together, or two friends or two brothers together. So the best thing, from my experience, the best thing to do to overcome really strong peer pressure, also to find a good company, find where is it that I'm going to be, where I could increase my iman, and where is it that I found people who are actually help me move forward, not to move back.
Abdul Basir, is resisting peer pressure, can that be an individual thing? Can an individual be a firm holder to this religion and he's by himself? Can he do that?
In some situations, you really do have to be that way. Based on, like you said earlier, the environment you're in, it plays a major part in the way a person becomes and the way a person is. And it couldn't be an individual task. I think it's a little bit harder to do it on your own.
Okay, you've got somebody, they're watching the show right now, and they're watching you. And they know full well they shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. But it's like, hey, everybody's doing this thing. Okay, we need some sound advice. How can this individual who's watching you right now, and you, to go back to school tomorrow, and when they all crack open the cigarettes and start passing them out, and they say, hey, I don't want to be a part of that. What process has to go on in one's mind to do that?
I think that a person, for a person that's not addicted, alhamdulillah, that hasn't gotten to that point where they're addicted to cigarettes, it's really like you really should stop before you get to that point of addiction, and it's really extremely hard to turn back from it. But for a person that is addicted, it's going to take step by step. It's going to take time, limit them.
They're not addicted, but they're going to laugh at me. And they're going to think that I'm not cool anymore.
Another example of peer pressure.
And they won't let me be a part of the group, and I need this group. We're going to continue this, because this thing is starting to heat up. We're going to be right back, inshallah, teens and parents.
Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star.
People who come as freshmen, they just want to join in this university, be part of it. So anything they see, they just want, just to try it at the beginning. And of course this will affect, especially if they have a low self-esteem or something, of course this will affect them a lot.
Again, it goes back to who your friends are, because even in high school, with as great pressure as there is, if you have good parents, you're from a good family, you respect your parents, if you have good friends, they'll keep you away from those things. But if your friends are going to influence you to do them, in high school, everybody falls victim to peer pressure. I have myself, and I'm sure, every single person I know in high school, except for a very, very tiny percentage, everybody has done some things in high school. So when you get to college, I think this is the age you mature a little bit more. You try to more, soul search. You find your roots with your religion more. You decide what you want to do career-wise. You don't have as much time and as much, pressure to do these bad things. I summarize basically that it has to do with your friends. If they're doing it, you're more likely to do it. If you have good friends, you're always playing basketball, you're playing sports, you're going to pick up on those activities.
Some of it has to do with peer pressure. Some of it has to do with actually the person's willingness to also go into it, because I think it works both ways. With peer pressure, if you're not willing, then you can put up a fight against the pressure coming from somebody. But if you're willing, then you're going to go into it definitely.
Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star.
The true life of the Muslim starts at death. If you wish to enhance your knowledge of the Islamic perspective on the hereafter, this life doesn't go on forever, but we do so little to prepare for it because most of us don't know what happens after this life ends. If you want to be amongst those who know, then join us every Saturday at 1930 GMT for the inevitable journey.
Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star.
Welcome back. Okay, we're here discussing peer pressure with Abdul Basir Wallace from the United States, and we also have Ashraf Toman, and he is from Egypt. Now, we are continuing this discussion that we just had. Now, remember, I'm looking for something concrete. I understand what you say. well, if the person is not addicted to it, then he should do this. And if they aren't, then they should do that. I'm looking for something of an experience where you could really say to the person, stop. This is going to hurt you more than being a part of that group. Now, I remember I go back to my college days, and let's see, which part of this story can we tell? Oh, yes. The part where I remember we were supposed to be going to school. Alhamdulillah, this is many years ago, so even if my mother finds out about it, it's not going to be a big deal, I hope. I hope. But anyway, this is what it was. We were supposed to be going to school. But we all used to get together at one young lady's house, and we used to just, okay, where are we going today? And this was the situation. But it was fun for a while, but it got out of hand. It got to be an everyday thing, to the point where I just wasn't going to class anymore. I was a senior in high school, and I needed to graduate. And I knew I needed to graduate, but that peer pressure was there. It was on me. And I remember I had to pass English in order to graduate that year. Alhamdulillah, I did end up passing, but I had to, it's like a Velcro, and I had to peel myself away from these people so that I could continue my mission. But it was difficult for me because, you know, I had to say, okay, yeah, you know, you know what? I forgot something at school. I had to go to school and get it. This is what I had to do. I had to make excuses to actually go to school. I mean, you know, it's easy for me to say now because you know, that was, you know, years ago. But I know for you, this is not easy. And this was just to go to school. What about you, for somebody talking about it's Ramadan and you guys are all sitting around with McDonald's and Pepsi? I can't be a part of that. How can you summon the courage? I mean, I wasn't Muslim at the time, so I don't know if I would have had the courage to be like you and to say there are no other Muslims on the team. I just have to go and just make my salat. What type of iman does that? Do you need to be able to do something like that?
Well, I want to go back to the example that you gave us about the guy who's watching us right now and smoking a cigarette. And I would like to say something solid really to a guy like this. And I would say two things. First, I would like to remind them with the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ when he said, لا يكن أحدكم إمعة, or don't be like a tail to somebody. If people do good, you do good. If people do bad, you do bad. You have to have your own personality. A Muslim has a strong personality. A Muslim is a leader. A Muslim knows how to handle tough situations. And also I would like to make him realize that cigarettes, it's not going to do you any good. It's going to lower your energy. It's going to put you in a bad mood. It's going to shorten your breath. It's going to waste your health. So logically, not a smart guy who's going to start doing this. So, you know, something like this I would say. And then back to what you were saying.
But Abdul Basir, is the call that strong? Do you think people don't know that cigarettes harm you? Do they not know that alcohol is leading to nowhere? Do they not know that drugs is leading to nowhere? Drugs are leading to nowhere. They know this. Is the call that strong?
In my opinion, it's all based. I don't think the people realize how bad it really is. You may know that it has bad effects, but I don't think they quite realize how bad it gets. To the fact where your lungs, you can hardly use them anymore, and you lack energy tremendously. But like you were saying, with peer pressure, it revolves all around us, and it's something very hard to deal with. But like you said, that with the Ramadan situation, and a situation like that happens to be one of the hardest. You're fasting since early in the morning, and you see people in front of you eating, drinking. You have to be a strong person. You really have to be a strong person in order to cope with those type of situations. And it can get at some points in times, that temptation, it really gets to you. But just think of Allah. Try it. Just try your best, and inshallah things will work out, because it's a command. It's a command that has to be fulfilled. So you have to do whatever you have to do in order to fulfill that command.
You know, the issue about an individual or a group thing, I go back to my high school days. And unfortunately, there was one young man, I guess he was one of the cool guys in the school, and he carried a gun. And after a basketball game between the two rival cities, there was the fight that always takes place. Yeah. Most went with the hands. That's how it was back in those days. Some, maybe one would bring a knife, but this one decided that he was going to bring a gun. And he was the cool guy in the school. Everybody respected him. He had his cigarette in his ear, and he was the man. Now, we must be going back now. This must have been 1987. But he pulled out that gun, and he used it. And he killed another young man. To my knowledge, we're going back 20 years ago. To my knowledge, he is still incarcerated. Now, all of the people who encouraged him, pushed him, egged him on, all of those people, even me myself, I only know his nickname, which I won't say now, but I don't even remember his real name. I wouldn't know him if he walked by me in the street. All of the people that they tried to perform for and to be impressive for, all those people have long since forgotten you. Right. Well, we're going to have to wrap up this episode. Abdul Basir, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm glad you were here.
Pleasure's mine.
And you also added another dimension to this thing.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping that inshallah ta'ala we're going to get together again. I am your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem, and I pray to Allah that there was some benefit in what we discussed here today. Wa jazakumullahu khaira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star. Your supreme protector is Almighty Allah. Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are. Press forward and forward to the light of Allah, and repeat, Alhamdulillah. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you